What up, fam? Hit that like, hit that subscribe. This is the HUD Radio Eagles pregame show. Yes, I said it right. The Eagles pregame show. We're going to break down everything that's going to happen tonight. So stay with us. Let's go.
You love the Eagles, let me get a hell yeah! You love the Philadelphia Eagles, let me get a hell yeah! Hell yeah! Philadelphia!
Welcome in, everybody. This is the HUD Radio Eagles pregame show. I'm Tom Arnone. That's the Blue Meanie. That's the Heel Chrome. We got a lot to go over. We'll give you our season predictions. Eagles-Packers preview, obviously. We'll talk about this revamped offense. And is there a new defensive error in town for the Philadelphia Eagles? Is it new? Is it something? I mean, the roster's changed over. We'll dissect all of that, which all ties into our poll question, which you can vote on. The addition of Saquon Barkley will make Jalen Hurts a top 5 MVP candidate. Do you agree or disagree? And you can let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, that's where we're live. Everywhere you get your podcast, we're there as well. So hit the like, subscribe, follow. Most importantly, join the conversation. And it is here. It's weird. We were talking about before we came on. It's Friday. It's Friday morning. Like, we got a game tonight. You know, you guys were talking about now they can't ruin your week. They can ruin your weekend. So it's funny. It's weird. Friday Night Lights, boys. But what do you guys say? You guys lead it off. I'm just here.
It doesn't feel real. The season's here. It's weird because it's football, but still warm out. And, what do? Oh, let's get together and do, football things. And it's like, oh, yeah, we got to talk about football today. But, dude, I'm excited. The talk is over. The wait's over. The game's here. I can't wait till this game's over so I don't have to educate people over the whole not wearing green thing and just be done with it. But I'm looking forward to an exciting football game. The Packers are great. They did me a solid by killing the Cowboys in the playoffs last year in a historical, hilarious fashion that made my summer. But hope I'm optimistic. I'm very excited to see what the Eagles do. I think the Eagles win it, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, football on a Friday is weird, but I am here for it.
So weird.
Yeah, dude, same for me. Listen, I got up today. I came to work. I'm all eagled out. And I got to work like super early. So I was just like, I work right near the art museum. And I'm like, I'm feeling like I'm like charged today. I want to do something, pep me up, pump me up. And I just thought, I'm going to go pay homage to Rocky. I'm going to get myself fired up for a dog fight tonight, boys. So I did. I went there. I paid homage to the statue. And then I thought, I'm going to go the extra mile. In my jeans, and I'm 35 pounds overweight, I'm going to randomly run up the steps. And I almost died when I got to the steps, boys, but I did it. I persevered. I pushed through like I expect our birds to do all season this year. And I agreed to the poll question, by the way, because Saquon Barkley and his addition this might be one of the biggest additions in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
It really might be when you talk about how he affects not just the quarterback, although that's the most important position on the field, and we know that, but the way he's going to affect the other skill players, the way he's going to be able to affect and assist with the offensive line. He can block. He can catch out of the backfield. He is such a special talent, a top-tier elite talent that is not the MO of Howie Roseman coming out of last year. I don't see how it's possible that Jalen Hurts does not have a monster year this year. And listen, I even throwing the ball, he's going to be able to dump it off to Saquon, and he might rip it for 20-yard passes that way. And then we don't have to worry about it going all the way down the field and accuracy and guys getting in passing lanes. So 100% agree. I think he makes Jalen Hurts a top 5 MVP candidate this season. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Blue Meanie, what do you say?
Oh, I thought it was your turn. My bad.
No, I was going last.
No, does it make Jalen a top 5 MVP? Absolutely. Because, I mean, who do you block? I mean, you put Saquon in the background, do you load the box? And you got three, you got we basically have 3 number 1 wide receivers. Smitty could be a number 1 on any team. AJ's a number 1 on any team, and Dotson, he could be a number 1 on any team. And who do you cover? Who do you block? Do you risk loading up the box? Do you risk sending a blitz, and then somebody hits a quick, Jalen hits a quick slant to Smitty, and Smitty's off for a 90-yard run or whatever. Just who do you cover? Dallas Goedert. Sorry, we have one of the best tight ends in football too. So it's a good problem to have. It's just something it's totally on Howie like, going out there and getting the big running back, but maybe, you figure, I haven't done it so far, I haven't done it yet. So why not take a risk and try it? And it's one of the best, decisions he's made in the offseason. You look around, you go, and there's a certain part of the offseason where you forget all the things you've done. You're like, oh yeah, we got Saquon Barkley. Oh, holy crap. And it gets you more juiced up for the season. But yeah, it will make Jalen a top 5 MVP candidate. Absolutely.
And when we were talking, it's funny he mentions that too, Tom, as you transition to your response, because we talked about this on Wednesday night, right? There's been so many moves, right? And it just kept coming. Jahan Dotson, Saquon Barkley, even the Mekhi Becton deal looks like it's going to be. It has the potential to be a really good pickup for them, under the radar at first, right? Bryce Huff and all those guys, but like we forgot about CJ GJ being bought back. You know what I mean? It's like it just keeps going and going. You're like, oh my god, I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot about that one too.
Oh yeah, we got Isaiah Rodgers.
It's weird, like because you keep adding guys on, you keep doing it. So like the roster is really revamped, which is amazing to say because he's able to do that where it was an off season where there wasn't like a ton of money, but he's always able to work it out and make it right. Listen,
he's a wizard.
To the poll, I mean, it better. Like I don't know. This isn't like trying to take shots at Jalen or put too much pressure on him or anything in between. It's just it is what it is. Like this offense is beyond loaded. This is a video game offense on paper. Obviously, game's not played on paper, but these guys are healthy. I don't know how he isn't. Dynasty was saying, well, he's been a top 5 MVP candidate. Yeah, 2022 he was. I would not consider him with that collapse last year anywhere even in that conversation. Yes, after the Buffalo win, were we saying that that's an MVP type guy, just finds ways to win games? Yeah, but there was a lot of games after that where he was not. So he was out of that conversation real quick. So when the season ended, he was nowhere near top 5 MVP conversation. More on the lines of, is he worth the money? It was more of the conversation than, is he the MVP? Is he a top 5 MVP candidate? So I think this brings him back more to 2022. I don't see how it doesn't. I also think not only Saquon, but just getting a regular offseason under your belt too, where it's not coming off a Super Bowl, it's not coming off a contract, it's not coming off any of those types of things where it can take your concentration and focus away. So I think all that, when you lead into a guy as a worker too, and then you add a skill position player like that, I don't know how he's not. So I'm going to agree too, guys. I do not know how he's not.
If I could throw in like it's going back to last season, I think there's a little bit of a power struggle behind the scenes between Jalen and Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson knew Jalen since he was a kid, so like Jalen, Brian Johnson, the new offensive coordinator, knew Jalen since he was a kid. And I think there's that thing where, if Jalen does something, he needs a bad guy to, a bad cop, to say, hey man, you're screwing up. But I think there's too much familiarity there, too much friendship there for him to be the bad cop to tell Jalen what he was doing wrong. And that's what, the previous season, he had that guy to say, hey man, you're screwing up here, you're screwing up there. Now I think with Kellen Moore, who is offensive guru, I think he's going to have that balance of somebody to tell him what he's doing wrong and what he needs to, improve on. So, and also, with Vic, Banjo being in, I think there's the problem with, Oh my God, Sean Desai. He came over from the Bears, not doing a good job there, and then you know, they replaced him mid-season, and that's a catastrophe. But now with Vic Fangio in the building, who was in the building for the 2022 season, he was we find out the day of the Super Bowl that he had been in the building all year as a consultant. I think the Eagles will be good. I'm believing in Kellen Moore. When the Cowboys are saying the Eagles receivers are going to love Kellen Moore, when they're willing to put over the Eagles to say the Eagles are going to do good with Kellen Moore, I think we're going to see good things. I think Gianna will be back to his 2022 form.
Yeah, and the best thing
Or
you
at least
said was
close
the
to it.
Brian Johnson. The
Yeah.
Brian Johnson, I talked about that too, where like as a coach, a relationship can be too close. Like this isn't Thanksgiving dinner, right? Where Brian's coming over, right? It doesn't work like that. Like you need to have, like, listen, I like being a good cop as a coach, but you need to have the bad cop too. You need to have that that balance of being able to hold people accountable. I think is the biggest thing. And when you're that close to a situation, sometimes it's hard to hold a player accountable. Like where in college or at a younger age, it's easier to hold that guy accountable. Now he's a grown man, just got paid a ton of money. Like you just came off a Super Bowl, right? So you factor all them in, and that's where a power struggle can really happen. Because like, dude, I was in the Super Bowl. I was just a top 5 MVP candidate, right? List goes on and on, right? I know what I'm doing, whatever the case may be, and that can lead to just playing bad. Just playing bad leads to way more things too. Like winning cures everything.
And if you remember, I mean, yeah, they're coming off the Super Bowl. They were one of the last 2 teams to play a football game. If you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, their opponent from the Super Bowl the previous year, their offensive kind of struggled too. The defense kept the Chiefs in a lot of those games.
They
Patrick,
scuffled till the playoffs. Honestly, it was not a Mahomes type of year last year until, maybe like the wild card. I think they were in the wild card, or whatever their first round game
right,
was. And even then they were kind of, I don't even think they really showed up until the Super Bowl.
right. Yeah, the Eagles and Chiefs totally struggled last year, having played the last game of the year. And then all year last year, all we heard is about, the gauntlet. They're gonna have the gauntlet. They're gonna have this major, and then the gauntlet comes, and they get through it. And I think the gauntlet did a little bit of damage to them. I think that the Bills game was their Super Bowl last year. They had them, hard fought comeback, and in the way they won, and I think their emotions got so high that they just emotionally just crashed after that and just began to struggle. It remind that the Buffalo win reminded me when the Eagles did the New Miracles at New Meadowlands. When Deshaun Jackson had the walk off punt, and then you're like, oh, that's it. We're going to the playoffs. And then they just sputtered. After that big win, it was a big win. In a tough time, and I think they emotionally just got deflated after that Buffalo win because they put so much into that one game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think that's a fair point. There was a lot of really tough matchups down the stretch when you look at last year, right? Because the Miami game was a tough game. A lot of primetime games too, on short weeks that were tough for them. The Cowboys game down to the very, micro centimeter for Dak to get across the goal line. I mean, there was so much, and in that, I think there was like a 4 or 5 week window where they were last drive or last 3 minutes of the game. And I do think that between that and then more and more tape gets out, and when you're running a vanilla offense, and Christian McCaffrey can sit there on the Manning cast and predict every play that's happening, these things are bound to happen.
Yep.
But I look at, and I know we're gonna crack in the defense, and I thought it was really important to bring that up. This is going to be a totally different defense. This isn't going to be something we've seen before because the secondary is the primary focus, and not necessarily the blitz, which has been the identity of the Philadelphia Eagles defense overall for the last 20 plus years, really since the turn of the century. So, I agree with you. I'm 100% on with Kellen Moore. He's proven he can use a running back. He's proven that he knows how to get when he has a competent quarterback, which Jalen Hurts, at whatever he is a competent quarterback who can get the football with that behind that offensive line to the wide receivers or to the skill position players, whether it's Dallas Scott or whoever it is. I've seen too much in the body of work of Kellen Moore, and I think the man gets way more flack than he should because he only lost his job so Mike McCarthy could buy himself time.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, a shit show with a terrible head coach in Staley in Los Angeles last year. I think he's more of those job changes were more of a circumstantial thing out of his control more than what he produced.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited. When he's there and he's got his guys in place, they're top tier offenses. It is there. Tom talked about it on Wednesday. Here is a proven track record with him and with one of the best defensive coordinators of the last 20 years.
Yeah.
No, you're right on all accounts with Kellen Moore too, especially when it comes to Mike McCarthy. So
I think it's real weird, Tom, that like we've been on the airways doing shows for years together, right? And when Nick signed, head coach Nick, everybody was begging for Kellen Moore as a head coach that year. And all he didn't get a head coaching job. He was supposed to be the guy in place, which is why I think that Mike McCarthy politicked him out to get the heir apparent out of the building. All he did was go out and have the top-rated offense. That's all. The year that Nick took over. And then obviously as things played out after the fact, but like it blows my mind. He had 2 years of a top-rated offense first. And now people are just like, I don't know. Like 2 years ago, you wanted him as the guy, number one guy.
Well, us Philly fans are always the forever pessimists. I don't know, cuz. I don't know, bro. Yo, Kellen Moore, he's a pretty boy. What's he know about football? I played varsity 3 years, bro. I know more about Kellen Moore, cuz. You know, just that's Philly in a nutshell. You know, you go to any corner bar and but hey, like you said, he had the best offense, and I feel like I'm going to get sick putting over Dallas for a second there, but Dallas had one of the high octane offense for 2 years, and that was under Kellen Moore, and then McCarthy, played politics and got him, shit canned out, and just told him, so he can get a new lease on life. So I'm excited to see what this offense does, man. I'm so excited. I'm trying to temper expectations, but then I'm ready to explode, because I'm I'm worried about getting too excited. I got to temper my expectations. Being I'm like a wounded dog. Just there's been so many opening games where things have gone wrong. When I was a kid, I remember Randall Cunningham breaking his leg, in the opener against Green Bay, and in Green Bay, then Kevin Cobb gets knocked out against Green Bay opening day. We're doing another opening day with Green Bay. It's like, guys, just get through this one and let's get on to the next.
Yeah, forgot about those.
It does sound terrible though, but Kevin Cobb getting knocked out ended up kind of being a blessing because Mike Vick stepped in, and what a year they had that year.
And the Kelly Greens.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Cotton Ball, by the way. Happy birthday. Ball. Let's get a Birds win for your birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
What's the other one? I had another one I wanted to. Oh, Eagles fan, 1999. I mean, what have the Cowboys ever done in the playoffs? I mean, that's probably more of the conversation than it would be, what has Kellen Moore ever done in the playoffs? I mean, I get it, but, they're perennial losers in the playoffs organizationally, and it's been going on for, over 2 decades.
That's more of a Jerry Jones thing, I think, than a Kellen Moore thing.
Yeah, I think it's just the culture that's been built there than it is specific guys, right? So, I mean, not going to really go off his Chargers run because obviously Herbert hurt. They're playing with Easton Stick at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, they're losers too. That's another organization that, is perennial losers and never as good as people think they are. And that's going back to Philip Rivers days when they were the San Diego Chargers. So, I don't get caught up in that. Is he a good play caller? Is he creative? Will he hold guys accountable? They're the things we're looking for because talent's there. So it's not like trying to get the best out of like lesser guys. Like, no, we have all pro caliber players all over this offense. Can he just not screw it up? What it comes down to. So I don't think he's going to screw it up. I hope not. Yes. And I don't want to get too high or too low, but I will get too high because we're loaded. We're loaded. We gotta walk and talk like it because we are. We're that good. We should be that good. And I think like us as fans, we don't want to get hurt, so we're always going to be like, well, I want to be a little cautious. But I think we should just jump in. Water's warm, and if it gets cold, that's not our fault. Then we got to run guys out of here. And hopefully that's not the case.
The water's
cold.
Have
a great year.
If the water's cold, take a leak. Then
warm it up.
Yeah.
and to your point too, Tom, right? I think I feel better about being excited this year because when you look at the job that Howie Roseman did, if things don't pan out the way they should, it's not like I could go back and say he didn't do his job this year. Like he did everything that needed to be done. I think on paper, he filled in the right spots. So in hindsight, people will still judge and say, oh, they shouldn't have done this or they shouldn't have done it, if it comes down to that. But the reality is you really can't. You can't go back and say this wasn't the right moves. They got guys that fit their offense, guys that fit their defensive scheme. He did everything. He managed cap space. He replaced franchise icons with who should be competent replacements. There's no way I could go back to where me being excited with how this team is built, I could say I should not have been excited because this was a wrong move or that was a wrong move. What we talked the other night, what's the worst move? If Devin White ends up being the worst move this offseason, we did pretty good this offseason.
Yeah, absolutely. No question about it. And you're right. We can't look back after the fact and be like, oh, it's on Howie. We just can't. As much as, I love holding guys accountable, but we can't praise them for a great job all off season and we all love it. And then it's not the year we want. And, that's Howie. When I get it, he runs the show. He's the one shopping for the groceries. But I love all the groceries he picked out.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. And then particularly too, right? We say hold him. We need Howie to hold himself accountable. And he did this year. He went out. He went outside of the box. He didn't say that's Howie being Howie. He went out and got the star running back, like an elite running back. He went out and used the first 2 picks on defensive backs, which is never his MO. He went out and addressed the linebacker position in multiple ways, going with youth and with an experienced former All-Pro. Like he went outside of the Howie comfort zone that we all hang out in. So again, when we talk about an accountability, I can't say Howie didn't take accountability for last year. I think 100%. This is like more than ever I've seen him step up and say, got it wrong last year. Not going to happen this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think he made what is Chuck saying? He said, wait, Eagles Talk is on?
Because we used the Eagles Talk intro.
The intro. Yeah. Needed the intro, buddy.
Listen, buddy, it's always Eagles Talk when we're talking birds.
It's always Eagles Talk, especially in this city. The Angry Bear said, Dak shit the bed in the playoffs for Kellen and after now. So what's the common thread? Well, yeah. Pete Evans, 27, 23 Eagles.
Yeah, execution is a big key, right? And say we won about Jalen from last year. I have more confidence in a Kellen Moore offense being run by Jalen because he's gotten to the dance. He has. Dak hasn't. And then that's a great comment, the common thread, because it's happened before and it happened after as far as Kellen Moore goes. So I'm more confident that they can get there with Kellen Moore and his offense being run by Jalen.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that was lacking with the Eagles offense was besides just being vanilla. It was just they weren't scheming guys. They weren't getting guys in motion. They weren't disguising anything. And like you said, they're on the Manning cast. Christian McCaffrey's calling the plays out on the Manning cast. It's like you got to shake it up. And Kellen Moore's been known to get guys in motion, shake it up and make it get motion guys open to receive, go out there and receive. So I'm excited. I'm excited for Kellen Moore. I remember, back when, before, they hired Sirianni, everybody's calling for Kellen Moore. Hopefully, there isn't cause to get rid of Nick this year and then replace him with Kellen Moore. I still want the Eagles to do well, but I think the Eagles will do well this year, with Kellen Moore calling the offense.
Yeah, and another thing too with that playoff comment, right? What has Kellen Moore done in the playoffs? Let's not forget 2 years ago, when Mr. Prescott, when they ran down the and part of that, obviously a big part of that is Dak executing, right? They ran their 2-minute drill. The 2-minute drill was put in place by the offensive coordinator, executed by the quarterback. Well, they moved right down the field in the playoffs, and then somebody on the field, not with the headset, decided to forget that you need to let the line set first before you spike a ball, and they had the 10-second runoff that cost them the playoff game, that ended a game. That's on the quarterback. That is on the quarterback. That's not on the – because they should have won that game.
Yeah.
And they would have, and that would have been another notch for Dak. But guess what? The coordinator put them in a position to win. He called the right plays, and Dak executed up until the end because Dak did what he does. Again, common denominator here. And I like Dak. It's weird, but I tend to find myself defending him because I don't think that people have the ability to step outside and give where the credit's due. And regular season Dak is tremendous. Playoff Dak is a different conversation.
Dakota Rain.
Yeah, Dakota Rain rains on us every time we go down there. So hopefully that changes. Hopefully that changes. It's like the Braves.
I dread going
It's like
down
the Braves. There. Like it's like Atlanta was beating us up in the regular season like all the time, but we have we have the postseason on them. But it's almost similar with the Cowboys, right? They don't do anything in the postseason, but regular season down in Dallas, I feel like they're like the greatest show on turf, no matter when we play. Now last year we couldn't stop the three of us, so I talking about that and going into the defense, it is brand new. It is really brand new, and somebody just brought up, I think it was Don brought up Nolan Smith, higher expectations for Nolan Smith or Bryce Huff. To me, it's Bryce Huff. I don't have high expectations for Nolan Smith. He needs to prove it to get expectations.
Yeah.
Like expectations on where he was picked. Yeah, but I still always thought that was Howie being Howie, where he nails the Jalen Carter pick. And it's like you reach for a high level talented guy, but probably more of a second round guy.
A project guy.
Yeah, a little bit of a project. And I thought he reached a little bit there, but listen, doesn't mean he can't be good. That's why, we'll see. We'll find out.
I think Nolan will be all right. I think last year he was hampered. Last year he tore up his shoulder in the preseason game. I don't think he was right for the rest of the season, but you see, like I saw little spurts and stuff like that where, he's running around the line and chasing down a quarterback. And, I think he could do good things. It's just a matter of, is he going to be healthy? He'll be healthy this year. He has no choice but to be healthy this year. He's had a full, season to, get ready. Just a matter of, just going in there and doing it, I want to see what he does. I've seen all the interviews with him. I like his attitude. I like his mental, toughness, but physically he's just gotta go out there and prove it.
Yeah.
Michael, I'm not giving credit to Dallas. I'm saying that every time we go down to Dallas, we lose. Is that is there a lie there? Like, I hate saying the truth, but like, I'm not giving credit to their offense. I said we made them look like the greatest show on turf. Like, that's what we make them look like because our defense stunk. But in years where our defense has been good, we don't play well down there.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we never have. It just means I feel like over the last little bit, we haven't.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, and just to say that they have not had our number overall over maybe I would say the last 5 or 6 years in Dallas. At the very least, to make it very difficult to come out of there with a win,
Yeah.
it would be a lie. Like, let's not like again. This is where let's separate our fandom from reality here, and that's kind of what our job is here, right? We're fans and stuff, but we have a responsibility to speak without a narrative. So the reality is Dallas is very very difficult in Jerry World during the regular season. They are extremely difficult to beat, and Dak Prescott's numbers at home are unbelievable. They really are. But I want to circle back to what we were talking about too. I would go with Bryce Huff as well. I think Nolan Smith. We know he's a little bit of a project. With Bryce Huff, what he's shown in a say 35 to 40% snap rate is incredible. So my expectation is I can only imagine if he can keep his conditionally stay on the field for say 60% of the snaps every week, you could be looking at like a 14 sack guy here. Because he was putting up what I think he had 12 sacks or 12 plus sacks last year at 35%. Like you might be looking at a guy who could put up 14, 15 sacks. He's young. He's got a motor when he's on the field. I want to see if he can be conditioned to be on the field that much. And if he can, like that's an upgrade over Hassan Reddick. But I think the thing we talked about too, right, the other night is this team is no longer identified by the blitz. I think they have guys that will get to the quarterback. But this is all secondary. This is going to be how many turnovers can this secondary create throughout the season? Big moments in the game, guys. I mean, they are deep, deep with highly skilled defensive backs. I feel pretty good about their safety position. I do think that they'll eventually need an upgrade. And obviously, linebacker, I think they did a lot to address it. Do we have that guy that we're 100% confident on? Jacoby Dean could be that guy if he stays healthy. And if he is, tremendous.
Yeah.
But taking that into account, I do think it's a new era of Philadelphia Eagles defense, an era that we have not seen in a very, very, very long time. Maybe since, you had guys like Troy Vincent, Lito Shepherd, Sheldon Brown, those type of guys. This is going to be a very secondary turnover focused defense, and I'm very excited for it. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, Philadelphia's always been a defensive town. Going back to Buddy Ball and body bag game and stuff like that. I'm excited to see what Vic does with this defense. I love his I love that he's brutally honest. I love his honest assessments of the players in his press conferences leading up to the season. And he seems like a no nonsense guy. And I think his honesty will come across great with that locker room, and guys will want to play hard for him, because he's brutally honest, and like I said, he was in the building 2 years ago for our Super Bowl season, and I'm sure some of the guys who were there are already familiar with him, and it's just a matter of the leaders in the locker room to bring the younger guys along, and I think they'll do tremendous things with this defense. I can't wait to see what he does. We got Jordan Love tonight, and he's pretty good. So I want to see how they throw Jordan off his game, disguise some stuff. I'd love to see a couple, I'd like to see at least one pick six tonight, just to set the tone for the seasons. Yeah, just one big play to just say, this is our defense, this is who we are, and this is what the rest of the league, I want this, to put the rest of the league on notice tonight with, this new look defense.
Yeah, like you would love like that big play. I'm just excited to see, not letting a quarterback get off to 12 for 12 starts and not let guys just get so comfortable in the pocket like we've witnessed over the last few years. Maybe not as much in 2022, but we did. I mean, as much as we went through a Super Bowl and it was a great year, and Jonathan Gannon, got to build a house in Arizona because of it and all that. But he was very vanilla defensively, and he was very scared about giving up the big play. And I think we're so suited to be in a 3-4 setting this year with our personnel. It's like a perfect fit. When we were talking about on Wednesday, when Chip Kelly year, when we went through a 3-4, we were not suited for it. I remember like Brandon Graham was not like a guy that was any good on playing that outside linebacker position. So I think they're better suited for it. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see Jordan Davis. I'm excited to see, his growth, hopefully by playing the nose tackle position. Jalen Carter, which we need a monster year from. Bryce Huff's a guy before today we haven't talked a lot about. It's been a lot about Nolan Smith or a lot about Josh Sweat right. And he's sort of going under the radar. Like we didn't sign him. And, the great thing about that is you almost traded a guy who's not playing for a guy who had double-digit sacks last year. So, I would take that as a win, and especially against a Jets team that was always playing from behind too. I mean, they didn't have many leads last year.
Yeah.
They couldn't score. So they definitely didn't have many leads. So that's not like that you're coming from a defense that you had double-digit sacks and you're always playing with the lead. So a little different there.
Yeah, I think what Brian said too, when you look back at that 2022 season, if you guys remember that opening game against Detroit,
Yeah.
Talking about turnovers setting the tone, Bradbury had a really big game. Bradbury, I think, had 2 picks in that game.
Yep.
I know he had at least one
pick six too.
Yeah, he had a pick 6 in that game.
Oh, yeah, he had the pick 6 in that game, yeah.
And I look at that, and I do think at that point that it was kind of a reinvented defense a little bit, right? They had brought in some different guys. It was kind of
because we're like, wait, we never do this. We never pick balls off and get pick sixes or any of that kind of stuff.
It had been so long to see turnovers for the defensive secondary, right? And it was kind of that like, okay, we're officially moved on from that Super Bowl era team. They made a lot of moves. I feel like this is that same opportunity. And I said the other night, I know he was here previously, but I really I'm looking at C.J. Gardner-Johnson in the middle of that field, and I just have a really big feeling because he had I think a career year, if I remember correctly, or one of the best years of his career that season with the Eagles. I look at him with the familiarity of a lot of the guys who are on that defense and what he's been able to do as that third defensive back over the middle of the field for this team. I just like he knows where Slay's at on the field. Obviously, Bradbury's not out there, but I feel really good about C.J. Gardner-Johnson having a really big game tonight and maybe being that guy, not just to get a pick, but to take one to the house.
And that's another thing. You forget that CJ's back, but he brings swagger on the field. He brings machismo, if I can use that word without sounding corny. He brings the attitude, and I think a lot of guys can feed off of that. If you got a guy out there, talking trash and getting people, getting the offense off their game, with the stuff he's talking to them. I think the rest of the younger guys and the other people feed off of that, and they'll be fired up. He brought a different kind of vibe to the defense, in 22, and I think the defense, thrived off of that, and I think they're going to thrive off it, this season. Like I said, they did so much stuff in the off season, you kind of forget what they did. But I'm excited. Oh yeah, we got CJGJ back. I want to run. Just let's go run through a wall.
Jeff, I mean, did you just wake up pissed off? Like, I mean, did you just wake up in a bad mood, or are you just not an Eagles fan? Like, I need to know, because you say Huff was a waste of money and a roster spot. Like, first, if you want to tell me it's a waste of money, that's a different conversation. But you're going to tell me a guy with double-digit sacks is a wasted roster spot? I don't get it. So elaborate, please. And then you say CJ played 15 games in 2 years. So you're very negative, right? At 11:48 on game day. I can't have this. I need the positivity. We're not even 0-1 yet. Like, we're 0-1, and this is week 2, and we're leading into a pregame, and people are frustrated because of what they watched week 1. I'm right on board with it, okay? We didn't play a game yet. So Huff's a waste of roster spot, and yes, we know CJ has had health concerns.
People are still upset about preseason week 3.
I bet that dude hates ice cream. Just
Yeah.
Listen,
Big anti any ice cream. With
Yeah.
no gelato,
Yeah,
no
yeah, like,
gelato, no nothing.
we don't do
Nope.
cookies and cream here. It's a wasted spot. It's wasted. Right? We can just go right with the vanilla. We don't need it.
Listen, I think too. Like you could say that it's a wasted spot, but the guy whose spot he took hasn't even stepped into the building since his opening press conference.
talk about that bullet we dodged.
Woo!
There's
Yeah,
the
because
diva.
he wasn't going to step on the field here either. Anybody who
Right.
thinks that he would do a what's it, a sit out or whatever the hell they call it.
Hold out.
Oh, the hold in. They call it a hold
Yeah.
in where you kind of come and you limit him. That wasn't going to happen here. He was sitting. So
I don't want to
You
say
filled it.
he's a local guy, right? But this. I think he was a little bit of the issue last year too. If you want me to
It
be
makes
honest.
you
I think he's
it
got
makes
a
you
little
wonder.
diva. I think he's got a little diva. He disappeared too. Like he had a big disappearing act last year. He was a great magician, right? He was a great magician at the end of last year because Hassan Reddick was nowhere to be found. He was not. It was milk carton. He wasn't getting after the quarterback like he did in 2022. Not even close to that rate, obviously. And he was a guy we really counted on. So I mean, I'm glad that Howie stood his ground, and I'm even more glad that it looks to be right when the guy hasn't reported elsewhere either until he gets a new deal. So,
And then I hope I'm not wrong, but like I believe there's some locker room issues that might have been attributed to him. So maybe that was the thing that needed to be extracted from the locker room. It's you're losing an all-time great, but you got harmony back in that locker room, and Huff, I think it'll be great. I think it'll be great, but we dodged a major bullet, because imagine our media talking about Hassan watch, just like a reporter down at the zoo waiting for the pandas to have a baby or something. It's just panda watch, it'd be a Hassan watch, and just waiting for Hassan to show up to the building, and that's what all we would have heard about this off season. It would have put a taint, or it would have put a negative light on what's hopefully going to be a great season for the Eagles. So we dodged that headache, and it sucks to lose a great player like that, but if everything else that we think is true, we might be better off for it.
Yeah, I see, I agree with you, and I think that the thing with Hassan was he wanted that extension going into last season,
Yeah,
and didn't get it, and that was kind of a hold in at that point, right? Like he was kind of dragging himself to get to the start of the regular season, but he did, and we were grateful for that. And then he got moved this off season, and you're right, Tom. He disappeared. Then he had a nice stretch during the regular season, and then the disappearing at the end, I thought was a little bit of Matt Patricia in the way he used him too. And I get he was trying different things, whatever. But I digress on that. But I do think that was another one of those things where you look at and you say, is it a coincidence to see how this is playing out? And I don't know that I necessarily like. I kind of feel like he never wanted to go to the Jets to begin with, to be honest with you, regardless if Aaron is there or not. Kind of feels like the Jets were never on the radar for him anyway. And I think he's trying to position himself for somebody to get hurt somewhere else that will make the Jets an offer they can't refuse, and then he can go there and get an extension. That's what I feel like he's really hoping for, or for the Jets to drastically overpay him, because he didn't earn the kind of payday he's looking for last season. It's very, very interesting, but I don't feel that tension coming in this year, guys. I don't think it's just like a show for the media and for the fan base. Like it feels like a lot of weights have been lifted here. And that makes me believe there was a lot of distrust between the coordinators last year and the players, and obviously certain guys that aren't here. I think maybe we're a distance or an arm's length away from the rest of the roster. I think you miss a guy like a Jason Kelsey and Fletcher Cox, obviously, but good for morale. You bring back a Chauncey Gardner Johnson, who was a big team favorite when he was here the first time around. You go out and they brought in a lot of character guys. And I think I really truly believe that the rapport with this team is not just a front because of what happened last year. Hey guys, let's smile in front of the cameras. It feels genuine to me.
It does too. It really does. There's a different and Jeff, real quick, I understand what you're saying. You're not a hater, and we're just messing with you a little bit. I'm glad
And
you
he
got
likes
your
ice cream. You
I'm
know.
glad, yeah, and he likes ice cream. We're back, and you had your coffee, so you seemed like you're back. And you went, you did that. He did this one first. He said, "Going to take this defense time to gel," and I don't disagree with that. Probably mid-season they'll be top 15 defense, and the Birds will be hard to stop. And he said, "Not a hater, just stating the facts that they were 10-1 last year. All we heard was a win was a win. How did that work out? Well, we know how it worked
I
out.
think that goes to the coordinators.
Coordinators and everything we just talked about.
Yeah.
This roster is revamped. There's so
Turn
much.
the page.
They turned it over, and they turned it over in a year which was really hard to turn it over in. And that's where my excitement comes, is that they realized it, and like Meanie says, they replaced both coordinators, and they didn't just replace them with just like randos. They replaced them with like arguably the two biggest guys that were available as coordinators, and both are head coaches essentially. Like Vic's been a head coach before. Kellen Moore has been on the doorstep of being a head coach. He's been on the doorstep of it. So like when you have that, it should make Nick's job. I don't know what his job is, but it should make Nick's job easier. It should.
Hey man, remember last year when the TV camera the TV cameras caught Nick, lighting his coordinators up on the sideline, like Nick pulling his coordinators, together, going, "What are you guys doing?" That's where I put all the blame on the coordinators when Nick's turning around and lighting them up and verbally just oh, what are these guys doing? That just leads me to believe it was all on the coordinators. So I'm excited. But I'm like I said, I'll unleash it later. It's too early.
Jeff, I do want to throw it in here, Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff.
The one comment that you threw in earlier, and listen, we love it, Jeff. By the way, keep commenting in. We love the engagement. This is what we do. We banter back and forth with you. We have a good time. Sometimes we argue, but we're a family in this chat. So nobody ever feel like you can't get in. And we'll listen, good, bad, or different. We're going to address you. But there was a comment he threw up earlier where he talked about, it's full of young players and a bunch of misfits from other teams. Do we not remember
Major
in
League?
2000? Well, right. Oh, I mean, but real life situation, 2017, we took a whole lot of guys. Chris Long's career was done. Patrick Robinson was supposed to be a, kind of a throwaway type of guy. We pulled a whole lot of players from other teams that, even if it was for just that 1 year, and honestly, it was more like 2 years, they should have got back and beat New Orleans the following year.
Yeah.
You got 2 unbelievable years with LeGarrette Blount, everybody thought he was done. Jay Ajayi, everybody thought he was done. And he was shortly after, but you got what was left. Like, you look at those teams, and that is all that. It was a group of cast-offs and misfits that mixed.
Sounds a little bit like ECW.
It does. It really does. It really does.
ECW was the land of misfit toys.
That's
that nobody else wanted.
That's it. And look at what you guys were able to do. And same thing with the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, hell, your quarterback that you got the best 10 quarters of his entire career, Nick Foles. Mm-hmm. He was here before, tossed away. They bring him back. You know what I mean? So this, like, oh, it's a bunch of misfits. Like, I don't really see this cast of misfits. But if that's what it is, great. Because we've proven with this general manager, he knows how to pick off the scrap heap and get the last lemon drop out of everything.
Yes.
He definitely does. Jeff agrees. He's back.
Welcome back, Jeff.
Woo.
Welcome back, Jeff. Let's go.
Jamar, let's hope that's not the case. We'll give you our score predictions here in a second. But he says, I got them losing to Green Bay, but beating the Falcons next week. Yeah, it's gonna be a long 10 days or 11, whatever the heck it is. Yeah. They got to win tonight. They have to win tonight. You can't collapse like you did last year. We thought about this roster being revamped, 2 new coordinators, all the extra. You cannot lose tonight. You cannot. I don't care if the game. I don't care where the game's played. You go San Domingo. You can go. You go to Cuba. I don't care. You cannot lose tonight because of what took place at the end of last year. You have to show your players, like organizationally, your players need it. The guys that are back, you just need it. You need to win tonight. You don't need a 10-hour flight home after a loss. No matter if that's a loss by a field goal, by a point, by a half a point, it doesn't matter, right? It's like gambling. You lose by a half a point, right? You don't feel better, right? So nothing's going to feel good for the Eagles without winning, because winning cures stuff, and winning can cure that maybe a little bit of residue left over from the previous year. We got to clean that residue off, right? I feel like I'm in bottle washing mode. You know what I mean? I'm in a bottle washing mode. You got to get all the residue off, all right?
Winning is the best cologne. You know, just
it is the best cologne. I need to get. There should be a brand just called Winning. There should be a brand of cologne just called Winning. I don't know if that's ever been made.
Shocking, like Jordan brand didn't come out with something like that.
I can't believe they didn't have the win cologne, the win spray. One spray, all you do is win. Like, we got to find the athlete. I mean, who smells good? I mean, I need some beat reporters. I need some beat reporters to let me know who's got a great smell to them.
Brian, not me.
Not me. I once stopped a concert with a fart, so no, I'm good. No, but yeah, I'm looking for all the advantages. You know, Green Bay had a longer flight. They're staying 2 hours away from the stadium. They have a 2-hour commute to the stadium. They'll be nice and cramped by the time they get there. I don't know. I'm trying to look for any advantage I can find, you know. But
Michael, when in the history of football in a 17-week season was it not must win? It ain't baseball. So when it's a short season, like, I mean, I know they extended it by 1 game, but like, I'm serious, like, especially early, when's it not like game 1 of the year when you have all these expectations that it's not like, dude, I'm not telling you if they lose, Mike, that they're out of it, right? Nobody's saying that. I'm more talking about the internal side of things, right? The clearing off last year. That's where I'm more like, hey, it's a must win in my opinion. But I mean, it's not like a must win where you're not going to make the playoffs. It's a must win in a different type of conversation.
I think
you have to set the tone.
Yes. I think it's a must win. Yes, exactly right. There's a lot of reservations, both within the fan base, within the Philadelphia Eagles fan base, as well as, you know, obviously the constituents in the national media. This is an opportunity for this team to come out against a very good team with a quarterback that people think are going to outperform your quarterback and punch everything in the face. And that's why it's a must win, because this is a statement game, because this is one of those couple of teams that people think could jump the Philadelphia Eagles in terms of, you know, an NFC power ranking, so to speak. So if you can come out, and whether it's defensively, offensively, or both, absolutely make a statement against this football team, like that's it's not going to be like any of those quote unquote empty and fake wins that people claimed last year mid-season. This is a win that matters. It makes a huge statement.
Dude, who wants to make a bigger statement than Saquon? You know?
Oh my! I mean, nailed it.
You know, when you get a new girlfriend, you want to show your ex-girlfriend that, you know, you're better off without her, and just like, hey, look at me. Hey, look at this line. Look at this hole I'm running through. You know, look at the yards I'm picking up with this offense. Yeah, Saquon wants to make a statement with this team. You know, I think the whole team wants to make a statement, but Saquon, he wants to, he wants to shove it up the Giants' ass, just because you watch those, you know, Hard Knocks clips, and they thought, you know, Saquon was going to come back groveling, you know, with, you know, hat in hand, you know, oh, please take me back. No, I'm on to the next. And I think Saquon's going to have a monster year.
Maybe too.
Dude, I went to a training camp. Not the stadium, but I went down to the NovaCare and watched. They put your cameras away, folks. They made us put our cameras away, but I was watching, and Saquon hit through like this hole that was so big, and they blew the whistle, and he just kept running. It's just like, oh my God, this is what running through a hole feels like. I just started chuckling because he just kept running after they blew the whistle. He ran another like 20 yards. It's like, man, he must be happy, to have an offensive line that can actually give him space. So I'm excited to see what Saquon does.
Yeah, me too. Space for a guy like that, not ideal for opposing defenses.
No, Quadzilla.
Oh, he's a freak of nature. He's just so incredibly talented. And we've all said it. I mean, he carried, in my opinion, the Giants to a playoff a couple years ago. It was I do like Brian Daboll as a head coach. So I think it was his coaching on Saquon's back. On Daniel Jones. He made Daniel Jones. If he could do a quarter of what he did for Daniel Jones for Jalen Hurts is going to be a top 10 MVP candidate. If he could do half of it, there's no way that Jalen Hurts should be in the conversation for MVP. But I'm super excited. I'm standing with my score prediction I gave the other night, Tom. I got the Birds winning this. I think comfortably. I have a 34-17 win here.
I was saying. Somebody asked me. I said 35-28. 35-28. That's my prediction. We'll see.
Yeah, that was 34-28. So I'm right. I'm right there. I'll go 34-27. Just to make it like a little different. But yeah, I'm right there. Usually I go up in it, but I'm gonna hold stern.
34 is good because you got the 2 feet. I'm sure there's going to be a couple times where they have to kick a couple field goals, but I was feeling a little flighty. I said 35.
I'm telling you, I feel really good. I think the defense, and we were talking about what is a shutdown defensive performance, right? I think in today's NFL, you keep a team at under 20 points, you can consider that a shutdown performance. And I feel like this defense comes out and makes a really good statement. My key, I said it earlier, I think Tom dropped a piece of content about do not let Jordan Love extend plays. Do not let him create extra opportunities. If you can contain him, and if the defensive backs can make sure that they're cutting off those passing lanes, I think this team, again, I'm not going to say cruises to a victory, but I think this team puts up a really strong performance on both sides of the football tonight.
We're all going streaking.
Let's go.
Yeah, the KFC's still open.
Hey, I got a KFC right near my house tonight.
Hey, that's right. Yeah, we're going to party tonight. So
yeah, we could be going streaking and watching it. Do you have a record prediction? So I'm going to go. I don't think we gave this the other night. I'm going 12-5. I think this team goes 12. I could see a ceiling of up to 13. I can't see them losing any less than 11. I think they beat that. I think Tom, the Vegas line was 10.5, right? I think they beat that. I think in a worst case scenario, they get to 11 this year. I mean, they weren't that great last year and they got to 11. And this team is much improved. I don't think the schedule's that insane for them to be able to do it.
It's crazy when you look back, like say you didn't watch a moment of the season. You said they went 11-6. People be like, oh, that's respectable. It's just the way they got to 11-6 was like, I see them winning at least 13.
You are going to 13. Nice.
New energy, new coordinators. Like I said, a new scent. Whatever whatever they had going on in the locker room and with those coordinators is gone, and the guys just want to just set the tone, man. Just set the tone. Go out there. We got CJ back. With the bravado on defense. Everything from the coordinator. CJ's back. He wants to, bring, bravado to the defense. You got Saquon on offense wanting to show up at the team that just let him walk, that they thought he was going to, come back. Oh, please take me back. You got Jalen who wants to prove a point because, I was talking to somebody last week. We're like, how do you think your Eagles going to do? I think pretty good. What about your quarterback? I think he's going to be fine, sir. Thank you. Thanks for your concern, sir. I just think this is one of those hopscotch years. The first year with Nick, they made it to Tampa in the playoffs, got their butts whooped. Next year, Super Bowl. This year, got to the playoffs again. Tampa whooped their butts. I think we're going to hopscotch into this season, and I think we're going to have a great year.
Yeah, I agree. I got 13 too.
Oh, you got 13 too? Okay. I love it, boys. I love it. And listen, we got 48 people over on the tube. We got 41 on Twitter. Let's mess with an algorithm. Let's get us to 25 likes. We're at 19 over on YouTube.
Here, I'll go like it now.
Yeah, let's get some more shares and listen, let's get some retweets out there, guys. Hit us, and all you over on the book too. Really engaging group of people today, guys. Very, very excited.
It always helps.
So I guess, guys, let's put a pin in it. We hit our hour mark here. Very exciting day here.
It is.
And great to get the three of us together, man. First time since last year's Eagles Cowboys pregame show at the 2300 Arena. Would love to hopefully maybe figure something out similar to that this year. Something on site. We got killed by a rainstorm last year, so
yes, we did.
But we had a lot of fun with the people.
Had to drive my arc over to the arena there.
No, they won. That was the DAC one where he fumbled.
Oh, I said I had to drive my arc. It was raining so bad I had to drive. It's a biblical joke. Sorry.
Oh, you're right, Crow. I kept thinking it was the playoff game.
I missed the arc joke. Okay, Noah.
I'm sorry. I suck.
I get a good dad joke in every now and then.
Yeah, that was that one.
No, this is great, and thank you guys, everybody out there. Keep hitting your likes, keep hitting the follow, subscribe, everything. Post game show tonight, right, boys? We're not not for us, obviously, Brian, but for Tom. You guys got a post game show coming on. You guys going to try to hop on during the game or?
No, after the game.
Nice.
At the game, little recap, a little 30-minute recap, and hopefully positive stuff. So that's what we're shooting for. We appreciate you guys all listening. Enjoy it tonight. Enjoy Friday Night Lights.
Do we have pregame superstitions? Do us or the people in the chat have a pregame superstition that we do before a game? Like, last year I wore the same jersey every game. I wore my Lane Johnson jersey every game. I couldn't, because if I wore another jersey, bad things will happen. But
I generally wear the same jersey and or hat until a loss. Then I switch it up. So whatever jersey, whether it's this or whatever I decide to start with tonight, I'll generally stick with that, or a T-shirt or whatever it is. I'll stick with that until we get it out. And then I move along, and hopefully I don't have to see that one again because they don't lose again. I don't have to go back and put it back on.
Right.
Other than that, I'm not too superstitious. I do if I do a shot or something every game, or if the juju during the game doesn't feel right, then we do a shot, we do a little cheers to the birds, little turn of the tides. As we turn our tides, we do it for the team as well. So
mine's more just like where I'm sitting. If it doesn't work, I gotta move. Or
he does that. Shift around, boys. You're not in the right spot.
That's the only one I get into. That's the only one I really get caught up. Like if I'm standing and we score, well, I guess this is gonna be a while.
Yeah, here's my seated position in my house. One arm over my head, armrest, and then I have a little ottoman. I put my one left leg on, so I sit there like this. And I wait, I don't move unless it's a commercial break to go use the bathroom. So,
well, let's perform all of these things tonight, guys.
Hope you have an ottoman that I can put my leg up on. So
I do. I mean, I got some chair. We'll figure it out. We'll get you.
Get him an ottoman. We gotta get him an ottoman.
Get him an ottoman.
It's bigger than us right now. Get the ottoman. We'll find you one. Go knock on the neighbor's door. You guys got an ottoman over here. Just need an ottoman.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Fun
Everybody
stuff.
enjoyed tonight. Sam gets a shower 30 minutes before kickoff. That's his thing. So, guys, everybody enjoy it. Friday Night Lights. Fly, Eagles, fly. And we'll see you. See you soon, and I'll see you after the game tonight. So
We'll get Brian back in. We'll get Brian back in 4 weeks.
Yes.
Every 4 weeks, we'll pop Brian. So
Yeah. Like
go Birds.
Perfecto.
guys.
Bye, guys.